My name is Nonya Nwokoye, welcoming you to the show. Good morning, Anambra. And this is how we roll every day of the week. You will also be informed that it's audience participatory. You can call us or go to our Facebook page to drop your comment on any issues of importance raised here. All right, let's begin with the press review. You're welcome to the press review. On the press review this morning, I've been joined by three gentlemen. They are fierce looking, and I believe they have something to offer us this morning in terms of analyzing the papers or stories making their headlines nationally. I have Arinze Anyebunam, is a public affairs analyst. Welcome to the studio, Arinze.
Thank you for having me once again.
I also have Chidubem Ezekwem. You're welcome to the studio, Chidubem.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, and my immediate right is the President Emeritus of Enugu Development Union, and also currently the Secretary or Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, UNIZIC branch, and recipients of so many awards. Good to have you in the studio this morning.
Thank you so much, and welcome as usual.
All right. We begin with taking a look at some of the stories making their headlines on ABS website. Operatives of Anambra Police Command foil armed robbery operation in Ihiala. Anambra State government to construct Nkwokozo Aba Ukbo Road. And 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Day, Soludo urges Nigerians to honor fallen heroes. Ezekwem, let me begin with you. Which of the stories are you taking a look at?
Armed Forces Remembrance Day.
Okay.
15th of January, 1966. When the first coup took place in Nigeria, Kaduna and Zogo, leading to Major General Johnson Aguiyi Ironsi becoming the first ever military head of state of Nigeria. So every year, we continue to remember it, reminiscence, unquote. It's a very nice thing. I still remember 15th of January, 2015, in Anambra State here. I still remember when the governor of Anambra State then, that's Chief Willie Obiano, what he organized at Ekweme Square called Ozemezena, in memory of the past heroes.
Fallen heroes.
It is nice that every single 15th of January that we continue to remember, it's actually refreshes our memory, and then it makes us remember that there was a time when something like that happened. It's a very nice thing. It's a very nice thing. Because really, sincerely speaking with you, those who were not born in the 20th century, the 60s, 50s, 40s, those who were not born that period will not really understand the gravity of what happened then. It was really intense. So it is very important. These days, when you tell the infantile people, when you tell the young people who have not actually attained that humongous degree of senectitude, when you tell them what happened, to be like his film, we are just joking. But honestly speaking, it is not easy.
Okay.
It's not easy.
All right, thank you. Azonwako, you have something to say?
Okay, just like you said, I felt emotional yesterday because I was there at the Ekweme Square during the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration. I felt emotional at the governor's speech. You know, he captured the mood of the nation. He captures the occasion very well. Recall that this celebration initially wasn't celebrated on the 15th of January.
Okay.
You know, it's very common among the Commonwealth countries, you know, a day remember the fallen heroes of the Second and the First World War, under the British colonies. But because of the significant thing that happened in Nigeria on 15th of January 1970, that was when the Biafran surrendered to the federal troop, and that date was captured, to replace the 11th of November that we used to celebrate the event before. So in Nigeria, while Britain and the rest will be celebrating on November, we are celebrating on 15th of January because of the significant thing in our country. And never again, nobody want to witness that kind of incident again. Millions of people died during the war on both sides. No wonder after the war, Gowon declared no victor, no vanquished. Because even if you are fighting, just like what is happening between Israel and Hamas, even though Israel seems to be the major power, seems to be in control, but they are also suffering casualties. So in any war, whether you are a superpower or a small power, you must suffer casualties. But when you talk about the level and extent of casualties is what now determines. And after the war, Gowon also went ahead to proclaim the 3 R's: reconstruction, reconciliation, and rehabilitation. Well, so far so good. How that policy of 3 R's was implemented is a story for another day. Because if this policy was, actually implemented the way it should be, people will not be crying for marginalization again. People will not be agitating for the state of Biafra any longer. But the governor captured it very well. In Anambra, it was well celebrated, just like in other parts of the country. In Abuja, of course, on Friday, there was a Juma service, in Aka Central Mosque. The Muslims prayed, everybody was preaching peace. The chief imam was preaching peace. Also on Sunday at St. Patrick's Cathedral, it was also celebrated for the Christians. The governor was there, the commander of the 302 and the other military personnel, they were all there. The message was message of peace. It now culminated into the activities of yesterday that led to the laying of wreaths to the tomb of unknown soldiers. And when you see this military men, when you see the armed forces, when you see this military men on checkpoints, always respect them. We know that in any 12 there must be Judas. We are not going to single out maybe the misbehavior or misconduct of just few military officers to use it and judge the entire military. They are really performing excellently well. Governor said that the success recorded during this Christmas, the Unitide, that was attributed to him, was also because of the partnership he had with the armed forces. People celebrated this Christmas very well, apart from just one of pockets of security issues here and there, which is bound to happen. So we are very, very happy at the state of things, at least in Anambra. So let's always respect and show, great, let's appreciate the work of the armed forces as we remember them every year in this kind of ceremony. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Arinze, you have something to say?
Nothing much, just maybe to say a very big thanks and kudos to the police command, communicating that to the armed forces. They are doing pretty well. They should up their game.
Okay, they should up their game. That's the message. All right, let's move on. The first paper for review, the Daily Sun newspaper. Let's see stories making their headlines. The banner headline in front of the Daily Sun reads, "Turbulent times ahead for aviation sector." We have riders there. Nigeria loses 40% market share over trapped $800 million, high fare compared to neighbors. Jobs, 1 billion naira revenue at risk as more airlines plan exit from country. Okay, sorry. I think I'm taking the yesterday's paper. Okay, let's see the Punch newspaper now and see stories in front of the Punch newspaper. Okay, abduction epidemic spreads nationwide. Abduction epidemic spreads nationwide with riders there. Kidnappers move from expressway to Lagos, Ogun, Abuja city centers. Abductors kill 2 young victims, demand 700 million naira ransom for 9 others. EFCC to arraign ex-minister over unpaid 3.6 billion naira loan. 14 states spent 21 billion naira on foreign trips despite zero FDI. OPS blames struggling naira for highest inflation in 21 years. Tinubu, National Assembly, governors remember fallen soldiers. And the pictures of that is in front of the Punch newspaper. So Sanwo-Olu promises more projects with 2 trillion naira budget. And we also have Wike fiddles, kidnapping. Wike fiddles with reverse politics while Abuja burns. 69 protesters killed, 189 journalists arrested under Buhari. That's the report that we have here. Okay, I think I'll start with you.
Taking a look at the Punch, there are a number of things I would actually want to deal with. But let me start with 69 protesters killed, 189 journalists arrested under Buhari. This is one thing, as a nation, we must learn. Truth be told, journalism in Nigeria, we don't have that freedom of expression. And fact is, it has killed the objectivity of the practice. You will hardly, in quotes, see a journalist who has that audacity to go objective, to operate under the truism of the practice. So if our government, both from the federal level to the state level and all that there is, would allow journalists, the fact is, if journalists are allowed to actually practice in sincerity, in objectivity, too many things supposedly will be corrected. I think that's one. And talking about abduction epidemic, I don't know how best to color that, but it has become very pathetic. It has become threatening, and it's something we seemingly don't know how to address now. The only thing we can do is first to pray to God. And
I don't know if you saw the picture of that girl that was killed. Yes, I saw the picture yesterday.
When I'm on air, there are things I become, should I say, skeptical to see. Okay. First, I saw something that I don't know the fact and truth in it, where it was written, and I won't call the agency, that if you are traveling en route Abuja, Kaduna, and all of these routes, ensure you communicate somebody at home so they can muster funds. Should in case you are kidnapped. I don't know the sincerity of that post. So you see, Nigeria, we are getting to a point where everybody is now the chief security of himself, herself, his or her family. Because you cannot really trust the system anymore. I saw some politicians, and if you see how much they were able to gather security men around them, and the truth is, if you watch those from the apex security political cadre, they don't just move, sorry to say, we're just policemen now. They go, they add civil defense, they add the soldiers. Everybody's just trying to arm themselves for defense. What happens to the poor masses that cannot afford that? See, now the political class, the government across all levels should sit up. That's the truth of it. No matter how much gear you put on, no matter how much you want to govern, you want to profit the people, democratic dividends and all of that, if there is no security, every of that amounts to nothing. I tell you, so we need to be intentional about our security and the safety of the people.
All right.
My dear, if you see the number of security men, let me use the word, invaded Anambra during the Christmas period, you marvel. Police, there are escorts to politicians, providing escorts to them, everywhere, every nook and cranny. Then you wonder how many are left in other parts of the country.
I even cried when I went to somebody's house.
Disheartening.
Yes.
Some people that came from abroad had to go and get police. So I was like, so if you want to come to your father's house, you begin to look for a policeman to keep at your gate.
So how many, in fact, I can count them. How many are now remaining to safeguard you and I? So you wonder what is really happening. What happens to our intelligence gathering? Sometimes with intelligence and with modern technology, you may not even need that number because the crime will have even been prevented before it happened.
Yeah.
The hideouts where these people are can easily be busted. Look at the kidnapping now and abduction. Spreading. It's a big money making venture now. So it is spreading. And what is really happening is it that what happens to what is the commander-in-chief actually doing? Then what are the relevant security units actually doing? Is it that the willpower is not there? Of course, you cannot tell me Nigerian security is among the best trained in Africa. But sometimes it is the willpower, it is the motivation. So if it's the motivation, let the government solve this issue of motivation. I know that some state governors in our state, both the previous administration and this current administration, they have always given support to the police, the military, and other security units. So if it's working in Anambra, let it also work in other states of the federation. We don't even have that kind of forest in Nigeria. Go to North. You can stand at a place and view and see what is happening very far from where you're staying, because they have this level land and the bushes are just shrubs. So and you tell me that these people they go and hide in bushes. Where are the bushes? like fished out. So please, something urgent needs to be done in our security apparatus so that this story that touches the heart will not keep on happening every time.
All right, Chidubem, sorry.
All right, let me start from the security issue. One, over time, Nigeria is going to be 64 years old by October 1. It is very poo-pooable, sardonically lugubrious and lugubriously sardonic that for years we still weep about security. In the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s, security was more impressive than what you have today. It's very unfortunate that you see members of the military doing the work of the police. That's one. Number two, Nigeria is ridiculously and pitiably under-policed. Nigeria is 220 million, 230 million, 240 million. And we have about 350,000 to 400,000 policemen. One. Nigeria is 220 million, 230 million, 240 million. And we have about 200 to 300,000 army officers. First mistake. First one. Number two, or number three, if I am to say, what actually is the Kantian categorical imperative? What is the panacea? What actually is the Catholicon? I will say, let us rejig the Nigerian police. Let us rejig the Nigerian police, one. And then we will also rejig the Nigerian army. Because the issue of many people coming back with policemen, everybody going here and there, helter-skelter, higgledy-piggledy, left, right, center, is funny. Because when you see, okay, now watch, some members of the political class, when you see them moving on the road, you would think they're going to war. One person, 16 cars, about 30 policemen, one person. You will wonder, are we going to war? What kind of wonderful fiasco is going on in Nigeria? What kind of quagmire is going on in Nigeria? One person, 30 policemen. It doesn't happen in civilized countries. It's a crisis, it's madness. You can imagine.
And if you make any attempt to block them, you collect.
They will treat you the way criminals are treated.
All right. Let's look at the Daily Sun newspaper. We have the correct paper now. Daily Sun of Tuesday. Kidnappers go gaga, raking millions from Abuja victims. That's the banner headlines in front of the Daily Sun. Kill 3, over 300 residents kidnapped in 2023. Mountains, ungoverned areas serve as hideout. Tinubu governors, APC chair, others witnessed Uzodimma's second term inauguration. Hoodlums invade Ekiti teaching hospital, attack doctors, steal cops. 3.6 billion naira fraud. EFCC arrests ex-minister Ugu. Governors committed to ending banditry, terrorism, other crimes. Sani, 747 CBT centers cleared for 2024 UTME. FG acquires PBE's stakes in 11 electricity discos. Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Tinubu governors, lawmakers, others honor fallen heroes. Okay, that's too much we have in front of the Daily Sun newspaper. Let me start.
Let's discuss something that has to do with education.
Okay.
And the JAM clearing some CBT
centers.
You see, when this initiative began, years back, some of us were skeptical about it, but it's like we will prove wrong. I commend the relationship between the JAM and the NIMC, that National NIMS, that's Identification Management Commission. You see, the introduction of NIM in the registration process, it has helped to weed off cows. It has also helped to, present a credible examination body, that has come to do what it's supposed to do. It's a JAM, it's not a money-making venture. In the past, you registered 3 million. Out of the 3 million you registered, 1.5 million are fake. But now, with what is happening, JAM will register 1.4, 1.5. That is realistic. If you also check the number of people that, took WAEC or NECO that same year, it's also going towards that same number. So there's a correlation. But before, you see more people taking JAM than people taking WAEC and NECO, because a lot of other people are fake, trying to manipulate the examination body and commit a lot of fraud in the examination process. So this thing, we commend JAM in this process of trying to sanitize the CBT, the computer-based examination. It has come to stay. Now, so the person coming to write that exam is the person that actually registered for it, not in the past, whereby mercenaries will be imported, from here and there. And the examination body was seen as not being serious. So this thing that is happening in JAM now, I don't like a situation whereby maybe another registrar will come and want to do something different. Rather, another registrar will come, I would suggest he will leverage on what is existing and improve on it. Because it is a policy somersault. Inconsistency in policies, that is what is affecting us in the country. Somebody will bring out a good policy, he will leave. Someone will come and destroy the whole thing and take us back to square one. It happened in the last previous federal government. I'm not saying that Jonathan was the best, but there are some of the good policies put in place by Jonathan. When the previous government of Muhammad Buhari came and destroyed the whole thing, and everything started afresh, and it didn't lead us to anywhere. So this thing that is happening in JAM is something that, as a stakeholder in the educational sector, I want it to be sustained. Thank you.
Okay. I would have actually wanted to look at that. That was the issue from Rivers State. Okay. I don't know if I can still say something about it. That's from Punch, I think.
Okay.
Issue from Rivers State.
Quickly.
Okay, let me just be brief on that one. You see, it is actually unfortunate that in a country like Nigeria, go through Facebook, peruse people's comments on social media. Nobody's talking about the interest of Rivers State. Everybody's saying, Wike will win. This person will win. Governor Fubara will win. Nobody's talking about what is the interest of the state. People are just interested in who wins and who doesn't win. That's to tell you the level of mental decay, the level of psychological quandary that's in Nigeria. Let me stop there. Now, to the issue of hoodlums invading Ekiti Teaching Hospital, attack doctors and steal cops. That one is just funny. These days, when people buy newspapers, they sit in the comfort of their homes, peruse the pericopes of papers, and they start laughing hysterically. They start laughing. They will be thrown at a loss. Where should we begin to lampoon the happenings in Nigeria? Where should we begin to poo-poo the happenings in Nigeria? And you understand that the psychosomatic physiognomy of Nigeria has been dismembered, disassembled, massacred beyond reasonable and cognizable repair and recognition. It's just a mess. What are you doing with corpse? Somebody will say, oh, you went to Kitchen Hospital, doctors, and then you still corpses. See, there is something that President Muhammadu Buhari, former President Muhammadu Buhari said, you see, top to bottom. I will say, let's go bilateral, multilateral. You can fix Nigeria's problem, top to bottom, bottom to top, and middle. You cannot start from top to bottom. There is a lot of trouble. What is somebody doing? Going to a hospital to adopt corpses. What are you doing with it? They say, oh, God, it's just a pity anyway.
Best known to them. Quickly, let's move to the Daily Independent newspaper because of our time. Daily Independent, worsening poverty, hunger, fueling insecurity in Nigeria. That's coming from Atiku. Ask authorities to address situation to regain trust of citizens. And Tinubu leads Babio Abbas. Okay, we've seen that before. Africa's 7 super rich, wealthier. Africa's 7 super rich, wealthier than 350 million people. Oxfam speaking. We also have FUTA shut down indefinitely over protest against fee hike. Okay, let's quickly take this story. Worsening poverty, hunger, fueling insecurity in Nigeria. I don't know how true could that be. That's coming from Atiku Abubakar.
The truth in this statement is based on logic. The fact is, I must tell you, by virtue of my understanding and what I've experienced thus far, insecurity in Nigeria began as a political game, as a way of trying to unsettle the government of some persons or a person, as a way of trying to bring discredit. And fact is, by the time you arm an illiterate, by the time you arm a hungry man, by the time you arm a man whose mental strength has been messed up with, and possibly he finds succor, he finds survivor through that arm, to retrieve those arms becomes a problem. That's what we are suffering now. Those guys were intentionally armed. They were deliberately armed. To disarm them becomes a problem. And you who armed them cannot openly come to fight them because they are going to get you exposed. Hunger, yes. There's a cliche that says a hungry man is an angry man, yes. But the basics, the foundation of this insecurity began as a political game. If the political class, I'll keep saying it anywhere, if the political class becomes sincere, operates in truism, goes objective, have the I saw something in Rivers State, I won't say the government. We came for that event, and not in quotes, the thugs who were security men to the governor, the arms they had, one person can face like 100 or 150 security personnel by virtue of the arms they possess, about 4 or 6 of them. And I was seated where I was as a journalist, and like, if these guys can bear this arm, why won't the government arm the security personnel, equip them well? When I say gun, I mean, I'm not an armed, but when you see the gun, even if you are an illiterate, when you see that, you know that this gun is not a match for what these men are bearing. You see that these things become an intentional. Should I go further? And this is one of the reasons why these men don't want journalists to breathe. This is one of the reasons why, if they know you have audacity of words, if they know you are being proactive, you are being objective, they'll try to buy you in. And
okay, let's,
it's well.
Okay, a lot of things that need to be. I don't know. The Nation newspaper, let's see stories in front of the Nation newspaper. Tinubu, prosperity soon after subsidy removal pens. That's the statement coming from Tinubu.
He's been coming over.
Prosperity soon after subsidy removal pain. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. Okay, let's touch it.
The way you are
okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, should the people so that maybe I didn't understand it too anyway. I don't know the kind of prosperity is talking about after the removal of the subsidy. Maybe if we had gone deep into the details, we would know. But being somebody from the educational sector, are you talking about prosperity after the removal of subsidy when there are a lot of agreements not kept by the government still hanging? Workers are crying, Nigerian workers are crying. Nigerian workers are lamenting over the subsidy, over the unplanned subsidy removal
Yeah.
by the federal government. It was not planned.
Yeah.
There was nothing on ground to cushion the effects.
Definitely.
We just announced it, and the thing took off, and people are suffering. Now, series of agreements, this government, previous governments, have entered with the workers. Most of them have not been kept. Even the 35,000 naira palliative, you see how it was being paid. What's even 35,000 naira? It's just something to, suit you, take it for a while until the new minimum wage, comes into effect by April this year. And even this new minimum wage, as that is being negotiated, the inputs of the workers are not even taken into consideration. It's like the government is, doing it on their own. After which you impose it on the workers without their input. There should always be this collective bargaining agreement, negotiation. You bring something to the table, government also bring another thing to the table. Recall, even the university where I belong to, the 8 months that were owned academic staff is still there. The 4 months that were owned management staff is still there. And the 25% increase and 35% increase that was captured in 2023 budget was not implemented. Now we are in 2024. So you start wondering, does it mean that this government does not know its left from its right? Who will talk to this government?
A lot of questions. Let's move on to the Guardian newspaper. We'll take 2 headlines from there, and we'll talk about one before we move on. Our time is fast spent here. FG strained to meet 650 million barrels target over crude-backed loans. That's the 2024 oil production. Nigeria's inflation ends 2023 at 28.9% as Naira anxiety worsens outlook. All right, quickly.
Okay, FG strained to meet 650 million barrels targets over crude-backed loans. Okay, 650 million barrels, that's a nice target. That's a nice thing to aim. That's a nice point, a nice flashpoint. Now, one question pops into my head. What happens to oil theft? Because every day in Nigeria, people are stealing oil. Thievery is going on under the oil sector. That is why whenever there is something like an oil reform, whenever there is something like an oil sector amelioration, betterhood and betterment, some people frown. The physiognomical setting, the countenance of some people changes. Because they don't want, nobody wants the place where it's eating from to, that's the way it is. So it is a nice idea. FG is trained to meet 650 million barrels. It is one thing to say something. It's another thing to pursue that thing, poco a poco, with every strength in your body until it is impressively actualized. So I say more power to their elbow in that particular thing. But I will say again, vehemence is needed, vivacity is needed to be able to curb the never-ending and what is apparently everlasting corruption and malversation that is taking place in the oil sector. Because if you don't curb the oil theft, if you don't stop what is going on in the oil theft, if you don't stop the oil bunkering, you will be anticipating 650, and people will be there looking at you in awe, looking at you in maniacal bewilderment, and why some people will be somewhere looking at you with laughter, waiting for you to finish your 650 so that they can map out their usual 10% or 20%, depending on the stipulated percentage they steal.
All right, the Daily Trust newspaper is what we are looking at now. 438 million naira contract. Interior Minister faces CCB today. 5 bodies recovered, scores missing as boat carrying 100 capsizes in Niger. In fact, when I was coming to work this early morning, I was listening to news, and I said, it doesn't mean there's a season of boat capsizing, because between ending of December, beginning of January till now, we've had so many. One happened in Anambra, so I don't know what it actually... Yes, we had boat mishap.
It's still part of the whole thing we are talking about. Should I call it corruption or the carelessness of people? One is the fact that this boat is malfunctioning. and they know. I was at the customs office, was customs, right, at Onitsha. While I was driving out, a tricycle carrying passengers somersaulted. My first time I've seen tricycle somersault. So when we rushed to help, I just had to tell my guy to park. He came down, went to help. As we were recovering them, some people actually took out their phone, but that's not my interest. Now, those guys that were strong enough to talk they were like, rather, we were telling you, your tire is shaking. The front tire, as a matter of fact, is shaking.
And they carry 3 at the back.
And you use it to carry full load. So, in fact, this thing is cuts across every sector, transportation, whatever it is. They know.
You know, I don't know what the authorities of FRSC is doing, because this keke, there is one when you want to enter, maybe you want to go to main market, they'll ask you to come and sit beside the driver. I told them that even if there is no keke, yes, I will never enter there, because the driver is supposed to use that side to be watching behind him and what is happening. Exactly. You know, and they carry one here, then 3 at the back.
Exactly.
And sometimes somebody will stand behind when they weld these metals behind. Somebody will still stand behind. So this thing called, if both the waterways, if the people and the authorities in charge, I keep talking about authorities. Possibly you go to checkmate and those men that owns the boats or whatever, you know, gives you some stipends and you close months. Why do we, in Nigeria, the major trade that sells, the business that sells more, is the business of negotiating your interest with people's life. With people's life. Because these boats that you let to ply the waterways, all of that, they carry people. And by the time it's capsized, for instance, maybe they're on transit and the engine knocks, it stops operating, anything, what happens? And sometimes the life jackets are not even available. I've had one. As I entered, say, just hold. I say, hold what?
You need to go to the marine and you see the recklessness of some of these, people that operate the boats.
They swim well. They can jump and leave you.
Most times, the boats are overloaded.
Very.
You know, these boats have capacities.
Yes.
Maybe capacity of this one 10, this one 20, but the one on 20 will carry 60.
You know, even people, you know, entering those boats, can't they say no?
Do you have an option?
Because with all this that is happening, can't we learn from experiences?
Like what I experienced on Sunday.
You don't have an option than to go
and
lose
may not
your
even
life.
know the capacity of the boats they enter. Ignorance is a very big problem. Like the issue of keke now. Keke, we have seen a lot of things. From the time they banned Okada tricycle in Oka, I think, and the Pulobia, we can't remember. Is it either Oka or Anonisha, Pulobia, those places. When they banned it, I knew what is going to be the repercussion. What is going to be the concomitant effect? Many Okada men who are crazy will carry the imported grace into the keke kingdom. You will see somebody nobody will even look. And of course, you know that there are laws guiding driving.
For crying out loud, these are lives we are talking about here.
Mirrors are there. They are side mirrors.
The living should always learn from what is happening.
Exactly.
People should actually learn. Somebody said, can't we use tricycle and go to Onitsha? I said, to even pick me from this aroma where we are seated, ABS, to get down to maybe Thameside, I will not. On this highway.
Tricycle, Onitsha. You see the kind of mindset.
All right, for want of time, we take the Vanguard and the Nigerian Tribune together as we begin to wrap up the show. Insecurity, gunmen, that's Vanguard, gunmen run riot in Abuja, Enugu, Ekiti, Katsina, 3 others. Credit to government falls 45% to 5.16 trillion naira. Tinubu commends Tantita Security, others for fighting oil theft. Release unremitted funds to NDDC, Niger Delta stakeholders urge Tinubu. Uzodinma's second term, Imo safe for business, Tinubu speaking. Cost of doing business to remain high as inflation hits 28.9%. Rivers government mom as assembly gets set to confirm 9 resigned commissioners. We quickly move to Nigerian Tribune. Adelabu unfolds roadmap for power sector, says FG spent 700 billion naira on electricity subsidy in 2023. Osun government raises concern over fake federal agents harassing state agents. CCB invites Interior Minister Tunji Ojo to appear today. Okay, that's the much you can take. Quickly, Ozonkwaku.
I feel the cost of living, inflation, affecting, it will keep on going up. Why will it keep on going up when we are not yet an export economy but an import economy? Why will our refineries not work? I've said in this program that about 8 months ago, somebody rushed to commission an uncompleted refinery, assuming that it was ready, showing not that it was ready. That refinery was not ready, and it's not ready up to today. You see, the Dangote refinery, if it's fully operational, even if it's taking care of only Lagos, then you can imagine the amount of money that will have spent in buying dollar that will be plowed back into the system. So when you keep on buying dollar, naira chasing dollar, the thing will keep on going up. For some days now, I've been trying to book an international flight, comparing the prices. My brother was telling me, if I have money, book this flight now because, and from my search, what I will get today will not be what I will get tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's adding up every day, showing that inflation is going up every day. So, until we start this refinery, because the major import now is to go and import the refined crude. Remember, this crude was taken from our soil, taken from our land, sent abroad to be refined, and imported back to us as a refined product, petroleum, kerosene, and the etc. So, when we work on this, even if it's working at 1/5 of its capacity, the billions of naira that will have pushed to purchase dollar, we will bring it back into the system. So
all right, we can actually go on and on, but I think our time is fast spent here, and this is the much you can take on the press review for now. Would like to appreciate you, gentlemen, for being here this morning. Boni Ozonkwaku, Chidubem Ezekwem, and Arize Anyebunam. Ezekwe, sorry. Okay, but I may call you Ezekwem. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it on the press review. We have more coming up on Good Morning Anambra Show. Do stay.